You think you could survive a day in the African savanna with your memory, foam slippers, filtered water bottle, and fear of bugs? Well, tonight, you're going to find out why you wouldn't last a single day. There's no Wi Fi, no air conditioning, no safe place to rest, just heat, dust, strange sounds, and a whole lot of eyes watching you. So slow your breathing, dim the lights, maybe set playback speed to 0.80. And let's take a quiet walk together through one of the harshest places on Earth. The savannah doesn't care. And you, well, let's just say good luck. The African savanna doesn't wait for you to be ready. Long before the sun rises, the plains stir with life and danger. The air is thick and still. The grass is wet with dew. There's a brief moment of calm, just long enough to feel the illusion of peace. But it's not peace. It's a pause. You open your eyes in the pre-dawn dark, the kind of dark that makes you question whether your eyes are even open. You hear breathing, not yours. Something just outside your makeshift shelter, if you were lucky enough to find one. It could be a hyena. It could be a lion. Or maybe it's just the wind curling through the dry grass like fingers. There's no time to think. There's no time for grogginess. In the savannah, every second you hesitate is a second something else uses to get closer. You rise slowly, carefully. You listen. And in that quiet, you notice everything. The buzz of an insect, the distant whoop of a hyena, the subtle crunch of something walking on dry earth. You think about staying put. Just for a few more minutes. Let the light come. Let the world wake up first. But here, waiting is dangerous. You have no idea what wandered nearby while you slept, if you even slept at all. The savannah is not a safe place to close your eyes. Predators hunt in the early hours, guided by sound and scent. If you're lucky, they've already eaten. If you're not, then you're the easiest target around. No claws, no camouflage, no speed, just a soft-skinned outsider wrapped in false confidence and wishful thinking. As the first hint of light edges over the horizon, you finally see it. The endless golden plains stretching in every direction, the grass whispering secrets to the wind, the birds beginning their cautious songs. It should be beautiful. And it is, but not for you. You're dehydrated. You're exhausted. You slept on a rock or on nothing. Your body aches from the cold of night and the fear of what might crawl close. And worst of all, the day hasn't even begun. This was just the introduction. Just the test to see if you'd even qualify for day one. Welcome to the savannah. You made it to sunrise. But don't get too comfortable. The real problems begin now. You survived the night. Barely. But now you face a different kind of threat. The kind that doesn't roar or sneak up on you. It rises slowly, steadily, and without mercy. The sun. By 7 a.m., it's already pushing past pleasant. The gentle warmth of dawn disappears like a trick. What replaces it is pressure. A growing weight on your skin, in your lungs, in your thoughts. The savannah doesn't do mornings. It skips straight to harsh. Your clothes, damp from the cold hours before, are now clinging and uncomfortable. Sweat begins to form, even as you stand still. Moving makes it worse. Standing still doesn't help. There's no good option. You scan for shade. You imagine a tree, wide-branched and generous. Maybe you remember photos from nature books or documentaries, but the reality here is different. Most trees are thorny and sparse. The few that offer real cover are already occupied by animals smarter than you, or more dangerous. or both. The heat messes with your thinking. It slows your reflexes, dries your mouth, and blurs your judgment. You start to forget how long you've been walking, or if you're even walking in the right direction. You're thirsty, but there's no water. Hungry, but nothing to eat. And worse than all of it, your body is losing moisture faster than you can understand. Insects swarm around your face. Flies, persistent and cruel, follow you like shadows. One lands on your lip, another on your eyelid. You swat, but they return. The heat makes your skin sticky. Every motion feels heavier than the last. You spot movement in the distance. A group of wildebeest, perhaps, standing still under a small patch of brush. They don't care about you. They don't help you. But they remind you of something important. You're not alone. Everything out here is struggling. Everything is trying to make it through the day. Some are built for it. You are not. Eventually, you do find a bit of shade. A bush, maybe. Or the thin shadow of a dying acacia. You crouch beneath it. Not because it helps, but because your legs give out. You close your eyes. Not to rest, but to pretend. Pretend you're somewhere else. A bus stop. A classroom. Anywhere. But you're not. You're in the middle of a living, breathing oven. A place where evolution shaped every creature to endure. And you're soft. Fragile. A guest with no invitation. Time drags. Your thoughts wander. You consider taking off your shoes, but the ground is too hot. You dream of ice, of fridges, of holding a glass with condensation running down its sides. Your mind plays cruel tricks. You wipe your forehead again. Nothing. The sweat has stopped. Your body has started conserving itself. You've moved past discomfort and into something worse. Your skin is dry. Your lips are white. Your pulse is thudding in your ears. There's no breeze, no cloud cover, just relentless sun and the buzz of insects. The kind of heat that doesn't just drain you, it erases you, layer by layer, thought by thought. By midday, the savanna changes. Even the animals slow down. They know better. They lie low. They don't waste energy. But you didn't grow up here. You don't know the rules. And so, you push forward, one shaky step at a time. Because stopping means accepting it. And you're not ready to do that yet. But make no mistake, this place is wearing you down. You started the day with fear. Now, it's fatigue. Soon, it will be something else. Water. It's no longer just a need. It's your obsession. Every part of your body screams for it. Your lips are cracked. Your tongue has turned to felt. Every swallow takes effort. Your vision blurs, not from exhaustion, but from the creeping grip of dehydration, tightening like a vice around your temples. Your thoughts grow slower, stickier, as if your brain itself were drying up. You search the landscape, eyes sweeping the horizon, but there's only gold and brown, brittle grasses, crumbling earth, endless sky. You think you see movement. Maybe it's a stream. Maybe it's a trick. The heat above the earth ripples like waves on pavement, bending light, creating shimmering pools that vanish the closer you step. It's called a mirage for a reason. Desperation starts to make decisions for you. You walk in circles. You forget where you've been. You forget why you chose this direction. Muscles cramp from overuse and lack of electrolytes. Your skin, once slick with sweat, now stays dry. You're past the point of sweating. That cooling mechanism your body uses is shutting down. Your mouth is so dry that you can barely form words. Your saliva is thick and sticky, almost non-existent. It hurts to blink. Your eyes ache in their sockets. Even your breath is dry. Each exhale feels like you're losing more of what little moisture remains. Your blood has started to thicken. Your heart must work harder to pump it, straining with each beat. Your pulse pounds in your neck, in your head. The dizziness becomes more frequent. When you stop to rest, you struggle to rise again. Your muscles are losing function. Coordination becomes harder. You stumble, you fall, you forget simple things. Mentally, you're unraveling. Confusion sets in. You forget what time of day it is. You forget how long you've been walking. You begin to hallucinate. Voices in the wind, water trickling behind you, shade that vanishes when you reach it. You talk to yourself, or maybe to something that isn't there. Animals survive because they've adapted. Elephants travel for days, remembering ancient riverbeds. Birds detect subtle changes in wind and moisture. Even insects sense where dampness hides. But you don't belong here. You're a tourist in a world built on survival, and you have none of the tools. And if, by some cruel miracle, you find a waterhole, it's not yours. The soil around it is trampled, thick with prints of animals that came before you. You hear grunts. You smell dung. You see movement in the reeds. Hippos, maybe, or crocodiles, or worse, predators that wait nearby, knowing this is the one place you'll have no choice but to come. Still, you approach. The water is cloudy, greenish. It's filled with insects, floating feathers, a film of something oily. It smells like decay, but you don't care. You fall to your knees and drink. You don't sip, you gulp, desperate. The taste is foul, metallic, like mud and rot. You drink until your stomach clenches. Moments later, it hits you. The water was tainted. Your body convulses. You retch until nothing remains. Diarrhea follows, and with it, even more loss of fluids. What little water you gained, your body expels. You're worse than before. Now comes the next stage of dehydration, cellular shutdown. Your kidneys begin to fail. Your blood pressure drops. Your skin, pinched, doesn't return to form. Your breath grows shallow. Your heartbeat is erratic. You're no longer functioning. You're fading. You collapse beneath a tree, not for rest, but because your legs no longer work. Your fingers twitch. Your vision narrows. Your hearing fades. You feel cold even though the sun still burns above. And as your consciousness slips away, you wonder, how can something so essential, so simple, so overlooked in the world you came from, be the thing that ends you? This is the Savanna, and this is what thirst really means. When people imagine danger on the Savanna, they picture lions. Massive golden beasts with flowing manes and teeth like polished knives. The king of beasts, stalking its prey with power and grace. But here's the truth. The lion isn't your biggest problem. Because a lion, at least, you can see. You can hear its growl. You might even sense its presence. But the things that kill you quietly, the ones that don't announce themselves, those are the real danger. It starts with the insects. Small, harmless-looking things that buzz in your ear, land on your skin, and vanish before you think to swat. But that single bite, it carries disease, malaria, dengue, trypanosomiasis, sleeping sickness. Your immune system, unprepared, begins a battle it wasn't trained to fight. Fever sets in. Your joints ache. Your thoughts become cloudy. You blame the heat, the thirst, the fatigue, but it's something microscopic, already winning. Then there are the snakes. You'll never see them coming. Their scales blend with the earth, sand, rock, leaves. You step, and the strike happens faster than your nervous system can process. Pain flares in your ankle. It feels like fire beneath the skin. Then numbness. Then paralysis. Maybe it was a puff adder or a black mamba. Either way, you've got hours, maybe minutes. You try to move, but your limbs betray you. Your breath shortens. Your vision narrows. There's no hospital, no antivenom. No one knows you're here. The predator didn't need to chase you. It only needed to wait. You think about scorpions, about centipedes with venomous claws, about ants that swarm your feet as you rest under a tree, biting in unison with a stinging rhythm. They crawl into your socks, your sleeves, your pack. Every step becomes a torture you can't remove. And then there's the waterborne threats. You finally find a pool, murky and warm. You drink. You celebrate. You think you've won. But inside that water, live things too small to see. Parasites that cling to your intestines. Bacteria that inflame your stomach lining. Amoebas that dissolve your red blood cells. Hours later, your stomach twists. Diarrhea, vomiting, cold sweats. You're on the ground, too weak to cry out. The sun continues to climb, and you're now more dehydrated than ever. But even the environment itself conspires. Thorn bushes, indistinguishable in the underbrush, slice your skin. The wounds fester. Infection sets in. Your immune system buckles again. Tetanus, perhaps. Sepsis. You feel a dull throbbing where you were scratched. A fever blooms behind your eyes. The terrain is uneven. You trip. A sprained ankle. A fractured wrist. And now you move slower. That tiny injury becomes a sentence. You can't run if something gives chase. You can't reach food. You can't climb. You can't escape. You're vulnerable. And everything out here is looking for vulnerable. Even plants are a threat. Some are toxic. Some have barbs that inject irritants beneath your skin. Others secrete sap that blisters upon contact. You lean on one for balance, and the pain surprises you. Your palm blisters. The skin peels. Then there are the silent things. Things that live in burrows. You sit to rest and disturb something that never wanted to be seen. A honey badger, fierce and fearless, erupts from the earth with claws like knives and a bite stronger than its size should allow. Or a hyena, stalking quietly, waiting for you to slow down just a little more, and while you think you're alone, you're being watched. Always. Eyes behind tall grasses, eyes above, in the trees, baboons plotting theft, leopards testing your alertness, vultures circling, not because you're dead, but because they know it's close. So yes, the lion is majestic, fearsome, powerful, but it's not the lion that kills you. It's the blister you ignored, the cut you didn't clean, the insect you didn't see, the sip of water you celebrated. The savanna is patient. It doesn't strike with a roar. It whispers. It waits. It watches. And it wears you down, not with one great blow, but with 100 small ones perfectly timed. You lie awake that night, trembling. No lion ever came. But your fever won't break. Your breath is shallow. Your hands shake. And the stars above you, cold, indifferent, watching you fade. Because what you didn't see is what's ending you now. You may think you're fast. You may have run marathons, sprinted on tracks, outpaced competitors. But out here, in the open, breathless sprawl of the African savanna, your legs are little more than a liability. Because here, everything that matters runs faster and longer than you ever will. Imagine the cheetah, a blur of muscle and velocity. It moves like wind-given form, reaching speeds of 70 miles per hour across flat terrain. Its claws act like cleats, anchoring its feet to the ground as it accelerates with impossible grace. A sprint for it lasts only seconds, but that's all it needs. You wouldn't even register its presence before it's passed you or caught you. Then there's the wildebeest, awkward, shaggy, clumsy looking from afar, until you realize it can maintain 40 miles per hour across long distances, its heart a drum of endurance. They run in herds, hundreds of hooves pounding the earth, moving like rivers with minds of their own. You couldn't keep pace for 10 minutes. Zebras, too, flee in chaos. Their black and white stripes dazzle predators, disorienting the eye during a chase. Their hooves crush soil and bone. One kick from a zebra can kill. They don't wait to see who's coming. They just run. You, meanwhile, are already breathless from the heat. Even the predators you fear most don't need to be fast. Lions hunt with teamwork, not speed. A pride spreads across the land like a net. And you? You're already tangled in it. One startles, the others flank, one finishes. There is no drama, no second chances. You were outrun before you knew you were being watched. But it isn't just about speed, it's about stamina. African wild dogs, smaller than wolves, are the true masters of the long run. They chase their prey for miles, never slowing, never stopping. Their lungs are oversized, their muscles oxygen efficient. They pant with tongues like ribbons and eyes that never blink. If they choose to chase you, you won't escape. You'll collapse long before they tire. You might try climbing. Maybe there's a tree nearby, but your arms are weak, your fingers slick with sweat. And up there may be leopards, silent, strong, waiting. They don't run far, they leap, and they never miss. The terrain betrays you. Dust clogs your throat. Loose stones twist your ankles. Tall grass conceals dips and holes that snag your foot mid-stride. Thorns slash your legs. Insects fly into your mouth as you gasp for breath. Everything slows you down. Everything here was made to keep moving. You weren't. Your feet blister. Your calves cramp. Your lungs burn. The sun presses down, adding weight to every motion. You try to pace yourself, but you can't outpace the savanna. It's not just that everything here is fast. It's that everything here was born to move, efficiently, instinctively, constantly. You begin to hallucinate speed. You think you see things moving in the corners of your eyes, but it's just wind through the grass. Or is it? You can't tell anymore. You've been running on adrenaline for too long. Your knees give. You crawl. You cry out, but the only answer is silence. Or worse, distant footfalls behind you. You never stood a chance. Even the wind outruns you here. And the savanna, it doesn't pause for the slow. It doesn't pity the lagging. It doesn't offer do-overs. It just watches as you fail to keep up. And then it forgets you. Night falls differently in the savanna. It doesn't creep in gently with pastel skies or lullabies of crickets. It descends like a curtain, abrupt, total, and final. One moment you're squinting in the glare of a red-orange sunset. The next, your surroundings vanish into ink-black shadows. The stars emerge, sharp and indifferent. The temperature drops, and everything that was hiding all day begins to move. You might imagine night brings relief, that the blazing heat would give way to peace. But the dark doesn't mean rest. It means danger. It means that everything with teeth, claws, fangs, and silent paws has woken up, and it's hungry. Your hearing sharpens out of necessity. Every sound becomes exaggerated. The distant howl of a hyena cracks like laughter through the cool air. It's not the giggle of a cartoon animal. It's shrill, maniacal, and hungry, a language of dominance and dread. When one laughs, others are near. They circle. They wait. Lions begin their chorus. Deep roars roll over the plains like distant thunder. It's not one, it's many. A pride, communicating, marking territory, signaling that the hunt has begun. Their footfalls are silent, their vision perfect in low light. Your flashlight is useless, your human eyes even worse. Above, the owls glide noiselessly between branches. Their wings have specialized feathers that muffle their flight. You'll never hear them coming. Their eyes reflect the starlight, wide and unblinking. Below, civets, genets, and aardwolves prowl for insects or carrion, their striped and spotted coats camouflaged perfectly. Even the insects become bolder. Mosquitoes, tiny vampires, feast on your exposed skin. Their bites itch at first, then they swell, then they infect. But the worst is what you can't feel. The parasites they inject, quietly hijacking your blood. The snakes emerge now. Cold-blooded during the day, they become active in the chill. Puff adders lie across your path, motionless, almost invisible. Step wrong, and your night ends quickly. The black mamba, restless and aggressive, might slither across your shelter's edge, exploring. It's called the kisser of death for a reason. In the distance, jackals yip and call. Their cries sound playful, almost canine, but there's no play in their eyes. They track you by scent, by movement, by weakness. You build a fire, hoping it will protect you. The flames offer light, but no comfort. Wood burns fast, smoke stings your eyes, and the fire creates shadows, long, shifting silhouettes that play tricks on your mind. You keep imagining shapes just beyond its glow. You lie on the ground trying to rest, but every snap of a twig jolts you. Every shift in wind feels like breath on your neck. You hear something sniffing, something low and slow. You hold your breath, heart pounding like a drum. Then silence, the most terrifying silence of all. Above, the sky is too wide, the stars too distant. The moon, a ghostly observer, watches without warmth. You try to close your eyes, but sleep won't come. Your adrenaline won't allow it. This isn't nighttime. This is the opening act of a feeding frenzy. The dark is not your friend. It belongs to them. The hunters, the scavengers, the watchers. They were waiting for this moment all day. And now, they roam free, unchallenged, unseen. Out here, the night doesn't whisper you to sleep. It growls, and it never sleeps. Fire is ancient. It's the first tool, the first weapon, the first comfort humans ever knew. Somewhere in your mind, you believe it's your shield. That if you can just light a flame, you'll keep the dark at bay. You'll keep the predators back. You'll survive. But here, in the vast openness of the African savanna, fire doesn't save you. It tempts the wild. It angers it. You gather dry branches, stripping bark with trembling hands. Your matches are damp. Your lighter is weak. The wind keeps shifting. But you fight. You strike again and again. And when the first flicker appears, your hope flares too. You feed it grass, bark, twigs, anything. It grows, crackles, emits heat. At first, the light soothes. The flames snap and twist. Shadows dance along the ground. You feel warmth, both physical and psychological. The kind of primal reassurance born in caves and carried through millennia. You're safe now, you tell yourself. They won't come close. Not with this. But the savanna is not a storybook. This is not a fairy tale. And fire? It's as much a signal as it is a barrier. Light travels, smoke rises, smells drift. Your fire becomes a beacon. Animals that were passing elsewhere now turn toward you. Not all are afraid of flame. Some are drawn to it, curious, opportunistic. Hyenas prowl the perimeter, eyes catching firelight, yellow and unblinking. Jackals slink in the shadows, watching your every move. Insects erupt from the ground. Fire ants, disturbed by heat and vibration, scatter from their colonies and bite anything in their path, including your ankles. Termites swarm in frantic spirals, drawn to the sudden change. Moths, frantic and suicidal, fling themselves into the flame. You hear sizzling wings. You smell burnt dust. And then there's the danger you didn't anticipate: wind. A gust sends embers rolling across dry grass. A spark catches. A second flame appears, then a third. You leap up, trying to stomp it out, but it spreads faster than your feet can follow. The savanna is parched. A single ember is all it takes. Suddenly you're not huddled beside safety. You're in the path of destruction. The fire crackles louder, now a roar. Flames leap from bush to bush. Smoke pours into your lungs, thick and choking. You cough, stumble, eyes burning. Ash rains down. You run blindly, unsure if the fire is behind or beside, or ahead of you. Even if the blaze doesn't catch you, it draws predators. Raptors circle above, watching rodents flee the fire line. Snakes slither away from heat, toward you. Lions smell confusion, panic, opportunity. If the fire doesn't kill you, the chaos might. You return to your camp, if it still exists. Your fire's nearly out. The wood is gone. Everything's coated in soot. Your clothes smell of smoke. Your mouth tastes like ash. You're colder than before. And the predators? They're still there, unshaken, unburned, patient. You realize the fire never protected you. It just gave you a temporary illusion of power. In truth, it exposed you. It made your presence known. It changed the savanna in ways you couldn't control. And now, you're alone again. No flame, no shield, no illusions, just darkness, and everything waiting within it. You start the day confident. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Easy. You mark a distant tree, a slope, a boulder shaped like a crouching lion. You think you're careful. You make mental notes of the landmarks. You even drag your boots slightly, leaving a trail. But the savanna is a master of illusion. The landscape shifts with the light. Trees that seemed unique now blur into a forest of identical silhouettes. The wind wipes away your footprints. The sun, once your guide, now sits directly overhead, casting no shadow to follow. Everything is golden, and nothing is distinct. Soon you're walking in circles. The same termite mound appears again. Or is it a different one? It doesn't matter. You begin to second guess yourself. Wasn't the sun behind you or beside you? You try to listen for animals, for streams, for birdsong, but the savanna mocks your senses. Silence when you crave direction. Noise when you need stillness. The heat doesn't help. Your brain swells with each passing hour. The dehydration is setting in again. Your thoughts feel slow, syrupy. You forget why you chose this path. You forget if it was even a path. The grass grows waist high in places, hiding holes, roots, thorns. You trip, you bleed, you get up, but now your bearings are gone completely. Panic sets in. You try to retrace your steps, but everything looks the same. The sun shifts. Clouds gather. A shadow falls across the land, and suddenly there is no direction at all. You look up for birds. Vultures or hornbills might give a hint, but they wheel in circles, indifferent to your suffering. And now come the hallucinations. Your body, stressed beyond its limits, begins to betray you. You hear voices behind the wind, a whisper in a language you almost understand. You see shapes in the tall grass. People, you think, but they vanish when you blink. You call out. No one answers. Time fractures. You lose track of how long you've been walking. Minutes feel like hours. You check your watch, if you still have one, and it seems stuck. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you're stuck. You start to talk to yourself. At first to stay calm, then to argue, then to plead. You laugh, or cry, or both. Your voice sounds strange to your own ears. Too loud, too hoarse, too desperate. You see a tree and swear it's one you've passed before. You mark it this time, cut the bark. You walk. Hours later, you find it again. The same cut, dried and dark. You've walked in a circle. Again. Birds fly overhead, heading somewhere. You follow. They lead you to a dry gully. No water, just bones, bleached and brittle. Antelope? Maybe human. You don't linger. You sit to rest. The earth is warm. Your legs throb. Your shoulders ache. You eat the last crumbs from your pack. They taste like cardboard. You sip the last drops from your bottle. They taste like regret. When you stand, your knees wobble. You walk again with no purpose now, just motion, as if forward will save you. You see a tree, a slope, a boulder shaped like a crouching lion, and you realize you've never left. The savannah has no roads, no signs, no landmarks that stay where you left them. It's a place of movement, and it resents the lost. And you're just another wandering mind it will erase, one silent step at a time. Zoos flip the balance. They give you the illusion that you're in control, walking safely behind glass walls, snapping pictures of the king of the jungle, throwing popcorn near sleeping hyenas, laughing as giraffes bend awkwardly toward metal railings. You feel safe there, observant, removed. But in the savannah, the roles reverse. Here there are no fences, no moats, no tranquilizer darts. The animals roam free, and you're the one in the enclosure. Only your cage is invisible, made of fear, ignorance, and your own fragility. You hear them first. Low growls in the tall grass, rhythmic thuds of hooves, the thrum of wings from vultures high above. And then slowly, they reveal themselves. The elephants appear like statues come to life, silent, colossal, and impossibly graceful. You've seen them in documentaries and think of them as gentle giants, but out here, they are unpredictable. A matriarch, protective of her young, flares her ears and charges before you can blink. You try to run, but it's futile. 5 tons of rage can flatten a jeep. What chance do you have on foot? Buffalo emerge next. Dark, shaggy, horned shadows lurking in the grass. You think cows. You think docile. You think wrong. Cape buffalo have no warning charge. If they see you as a threat, or just in the wrong place, they lower their heads and barrel forward. Their hooves pound like war drums. Their horns are scythes. Crocodiles bask along riverbanks that seem serene. You kneel to scoop water, unaware of the eyes just above the surface. The lunge is instant. The jaws snap shut with 3,700 pounds of force, more than enough to shatter bone. They don't kill you with the bite. They spin. A death roll. You're underwater before you scream, broken and disoriented. But perhaps nothing is more terrifying than the hippo. Yes, the hippo. Cartoons lied to you. Hippos are not harmless, bloated river cows. They are aggressive, territorial, and deadly. They can run faster than you, on land. They bite through aluminum boats, If you cross their path, especially near their calves, they will attack. No bluff, just charge. And the birds? You think they're benign. But even they are part of this brutal web. Secretary birds stomp snakes to death with terrifying speed. Marabou storks, dubbed undertakers, loiter near the dead. Their hollow eyes and bare heads give no expression as they devour carrion. And we haven't even touched the predators yet. They watch from the shadows. Lions, cheetahs, leopards, each one adapted to a specific strategy of death. Some stalk, some chase, some leap. But all of them wait for weakness, for separation, for a moment. You feel their eyes long before you see them, and sometimes you never see them at all. You grew up watching lions on TV. Padded cages, clean enclosures, bored yawns behind glass. But out here, the hierarchy flips. You're the exhibit. You're the outsider. You're the one trapped in an environment where everything knows the rules, except you. Out here, apex predators don't pace in circles. They roam entire kingdoms. The lion isn't performing. It stalks silently through the grass, head low, shoulder blades slicing the air like silent pistons. You don't hear it. You don't smell it. It watches from 30 feet away, and you never notice. The hyenas aren't comedic scavengers. They're relentless. Their jaws are stronger than a bear's. Their laughter is a language. It coordinates attacks. They move in matriarchal clans, dozens strong, encircling you with eerie precision. Leopards don't roar. They don't need to. They drop from trees like ghosts. One moment the branches sway. The next, you're on the ground with 180 pounds of muscle on your chest and no time to scream. The crocodiles are statues until they move. They wait, eyes just above the waterline, for you to lean in. You reach down, splash, and the world tips sideways. In less than a second, you're in a death roll. You don't resurface. Even the birds aren't innocent. Secretary birds stomp snakes to death with bone-breaking kicks. Martial eagles pluck baby antelope from the grass like it's nothing. The vultures don't kill, but they circle you when you stop moving. They know you're close to done before you do. But perhaps the scariest thing is the silence. There's no alarm bell, no warning signs, no growl before the pounce. You're prey, but your predator doesn't rush. It has patience, it has hunger, and it has time. Out here, the animals aren't curious about you. They're assessing you, measuring, waiting. They don't marvel at the novelty of a human. They sniff your trail, listen for your footsteps, taste the air you disturbed. And once they decide, you won't even know the hunt has started. In the zoo, you tap on glass, you call out names, you throw snacks. Here, you flinch at rustling, you pray for daylight, you count your breaths and try not to smell like fear. There are no walls here, no keepers, no safety protocols, just the open savanna and its rules. And you're the intruder. Predators don't chase you out of bravado. They don't roar for show. In the savanna, death is efficient, precise, and it begins long before the kill. You don't hear the lioness when she begins her approach. Her paws are padded, her movements fluid. She crouches in the tall grass, every muscle wired for the perfect pounce. Her golden fur melts into the golden earth. You may never even see her coming. By the time your instincts scream, it's already too late. A blur of muscle, claws like daggers, and a jaw meant to crush vertebrae. Your end is silent, sudden, and final. The male lion may look more majestic, but he rarely hunts alone. His roar is not a threat. It's a declaration. I am here. This is mine. It travels for miles, vibrating through your chest like the rumble of a passing freight train. When you hear it at night, you don't sleep, you don't move, you just pray. Leopards are different. They don't roar, they don't announce, they climb, they stalk, they wait. Their spotted coats mimic light filtering through leaves, making them nearly invisible in trees or brush. They strike from above or behind. One swipe can sever a throat. Then they drag their kill, your body, up into the branches, out of reach of scavengers. You become part of the canopy. Cheetahs, though less aggressive toward humans, hunt with explosive speed. They rely on vision and timing. If you startle one, it won't charge. It will vanish before you can register its movement. But if you're small, if you appear vulnerable, if you're mistaken for prey, your time is measured in heartbeats. The hyenas are the real artists of death. Misunderstood, often ridiculed, but far more dangerous than popular myth admits. Their jaws are the strongest of any mammal, capable of shattering bone like brittle twigs. They are clever, coordinated. Their calls echo across the plain, signaling to clan members, sometimes to lure prey into traps. They don't hunt in straight lines. They circle, probe test. They wait until you're injured, until you trip, until the sun sets and your fire dies. Then, one by one, they move closer. You'll hear them before you see them, a sound between a laugh and a scream, mocking, celebrating. Then come the insects. Yes, the insects. Driver ants move in columns, stripping flesh from anything that lies in their path. Termites build mounds taller than a man, homes for entire ecosystems. Tsetse flies carry sleeping sickness. You don't feel their bite. You just start to fade, slowly, cruelly. Paralysis, confusion, fever. And don't forget the scorpions. In the dark, you might roll onto one. Its sting is sharp, fiery. Some are harmless. Others bring days of vomiting and muscle spasms. There's no antidote unless you brought it. And you didn't. Even the plants betray you. Acacia thorns pierce boots. Some leak sap that attracts ants to swarm you. Poisonous shrubs irritate your skin. You sit for a moment's rest and stand with burning legs, itching, swelling. In this world, you are the anomaly. You are fragile. You make noise when you walk. You leave scent. You fear the dark. You panic. And the animals? They don't. They are not trapped behind bars. They are home. And you? You're the exhibit. Exposed, alone, unarmed. No one's feeding them twice a day. But you just might be dinner. Walking across the African savanna may seem like a simple task. You put one foot in front of the other, eyes on the horizon, always moving forward. But here, every single step is an invitation to disaster. The dangers beneath your feet are just as lethal as those lurking in the tall grass. The ground is uneven, cracked by the merciless sun. What appears to be firm soil might be a dried crust hiding a sinkhole or an animal burrow. You take a step, hear a crunch, and your leg disappears into darkness. You fall hard, twisting your ankle, or worse, fracturing it. With no one around, even a minor injury becomes a death sentence. Then come the thorns. Acacia trees scatter their defenses far and wide. Each step brings the risk of impalement. Their thorns are not merely sharp. They are long, rigid, and capable of puncturing even the thick soles of hiking boots. You step wrong, and the pain shoots through your foot, causing you to stumble, to fall. Pulling the thorn out risks infection. Leaving it in ensures it. And if you fall, you meet another danger: the insects. Driver ants are relentless. They travel in lines hundreds of meters long. You might think you're alone, but suddenly your skin itches, then burns. Ants cover your legs. They bite and cling with mandibles like pincers. You strip off your clothes in a panic, slapping and clawing, but it's too late. The damage is done. Ticks wait on the tips of grasses, reaching as you brush past. You may not feel the bite, but days later, your body swells with fever. Tick-borne diseases like African tick bite fever and rickettsiosis begin subtly, then escalate fast. Then there are the traps nature sets, hidden hazards waiting in silence. Abandoned aardvark burrows dot the landscape, invisible under vegetation. They collapse under your weight. Step in the wrong place and your knee gives way, wrenching sideways. Hyenas sometimes expand these holes for dens. You may disturb them by accident, and nothing survives a surprised hyena clan. Rocky outcrops look inviting, places to rest, to get a better view, but the rocks crumble under dry conditions. You slip. You scrape open your arm. The gash fills with dirt. If you don't treat it, it festers. Soon it smells. Then it burns. Infection comes next. Snakes lie in wait. The puff adder is perfectly camouflaged, lying still for hours. Its venom causes massive tissue damage. Step too close, and it strikes faster than your eye can register. The pain is immediate. The swelling, grotesque. Without antivenom, amputation may follow. Death is a real possibility. Even barefoot walking isn't always a choice. If your shoes tear or are lost crossing a river, you're left exposed. The earth becomes a weapon. Burning hot sands sear your soles. Sharp stones cut into flesh. Thorny plants tear at your skin. Infection takes root fast. Even mud isn't just mud. Black cotton soil looks dry but swallows your foot whole. You sink ankle deep, then knee deep. It clings, sucks. You fight to free yourself and exhaust precious energy. Worse, the noise you make thrashing draws attention, not from help, but from the hungry. At dusk, the ground changes again. Dew slickens grass. Hidden moss makes rocks treacherously slippery. Your body, fatigued and dehydrated, stumbles more. You catch yourself with raw hands, scraping skin. Blood scents the air. You become prey. Each footfall carries the weight of risk, of uncertainty. You no longer walk. You navigate. You probe. You hesitate. You learn to test every surface before trusting it. But hesitation costs time. And in the savannah, time is life. And so, every step becomes a decision. Do you move forward and risk what lies unseen? Or stay still and risk what's hunting you? In the savannah, even the act of walking is a gamble, and there are no safe bets. Sound is supposed to be your ally. You rely on it without thinking. Footsteps, voices, rustling leaves, the low growl of something angry, or the hiss of something warning you to back off. In the wild, you'd think you'd hear the danger coming. But the truth is, you won't. The most lethal things in the savannah don't announce themselves. They arrive wrapped in silence. Death here is not loud. It is a whisper, a breath, a shadow. Take the leopard, for instance. No roar, no snarl, just the shift of wind through leaves. Leopards are ghost hunters. They tread over dry leaves without a crunch, over brittle grass without a snap. Their paws are padded with the softest fur, absorbing sound, masking intent. If one chooses you as a target, you'll feel the weight on your shoulders before you ever hear it coming. Claws sink in, teeth crush. Your voice never has a chance to rise. Even the lions, whose calls echo like thunder at night, turn to silence when they hunt. A lioness moves in coordinated formation with her sisters, their low bodies gliding just above the grass line. No words, no noise, Just one synchronized breath, one shared focus. When they strike, the savanna itself seems to hold its breath. The black mamba doesn't rattle, doesn't hiss, not at first. It watches. If it sees you as a threat, it delivers death in a straight line, a blur of scales and venom. Two fangs, two drops, then nothing. Paralysis comes fast. You remain awake as your muscles stop working, your lungs tighten, and your body refuses to obey. Your scream never leaves your throat. And then there's the boom slang, named for trees and silence. A rear-fanged snake hiding in branches. It bites once without pain. You don't notice. Hours later, your blood thins to water. You bleed from your nose, your gums. You panic. Too late. Even the small creatures are quiet assassins. The mosquito buzzes at first, but not always. Some species land with surgical precision, inject numbing agents, and feed. Malaria, dengue, Zika all drift into your bloodstream on the wings of near silence. The ambush is nature's preferred tactic. Spotted hyenas scout at night, whispering across terrain in near perfect silence. Their paws disturb no stone. Their bodies blend into dusk. You might hear a laugh, if you're lucky. But usually, you don't. You just feel the teeth. Tsetse flies give no warning. They land, bite, and leave. Their sting carries sleeping sickness. The fatigue creeps in. You slow down. You stumble. Rest is a luxury, a pause, a reprieve. But out here, in the golden vastness of the savanna, rest is a myth. Because the second you stop, the instant you close your eyes, unclench your jaw, or let your shoulders drop, that's when something notices. You are never alone, never unobserved, even when it's silent. Especially when it's silent. The savanna watches you. The eyes are everywhere. Perched in the trees are the birds of prey, eagles with razor-sharp vision that can spot the flick of a tail from hundreds of meters above. They see your stumbling gait, your limping leg, your sweat-drenched clothes. You are not a person to them. You are vulnerability in motion. If they don't strike, they alert others who will. In the shade of bushes, eyes glint. Not one pair, but several. Jackals, hyenas, waiting, gauging. You lie down to rest, and they draw closer. You close your eyes, and they move in. A puff of wind across your skin. Or was it breath? You don't know. You don't rest. At night, the air changes. The heat of the day gives way to a chilling stillness. But the stillness is deceptive. Insects hum. Owls hoot. Something rustles. Something breathes. The darkness comes alive with motion, but not yours. You lie in stillness. Your heart thuds against your chest. You know better than to sleep deeply, because deep sleep here isn't sleep, it's surrender. You tried resting by the water once. A flat rock near the river seemed safe. The current lulled you. You drifted. Minutes passed. Then the hiss, the splash, the flash of a scale or a claw. Crocodiles don't need long. A blink, that's all. Even insects keep tabs on you. Ants trail your path. Mosquitoes follow your carbon dioxide. Ticks burrow silently while you lie still. You rest your head against a tree trunk, unaware of the scorpion inches above. Its stinger curves like a hook. One misstep, one lean back, and agony. And then there are the humans. You think the savanna is untouched? Think again. Poachers, militias, desperate wanderers. Some may help, others may not. Your fire can be seen from miles away. Your footprints can be followed. Your resting spot becomes a marker. You tried hiding once, beneath an overhang, in tall grass, in a hollow log. But your scent lingered, your breath misted. A predator followed. You cannot sleep. Not really. You doze in fragments, in shallow breaths. Your dreams are brief, sharp edged, and untrustworthy. You awaken unsure if you heard a real growl or imagined it. And even if you make it to a tree, to a lookout, to a place where nothing seems to move, the eyes are still there, camouflaged, patient, testing. Because out here you don't rest. You wait and wonder who saw you first and what are they waiting for? In the wild, there are no signposts, no manuals, no friendly tutorials with bulleted lists. There are rules, yes, but they're unwritten, invisible, and enforced without mercy. The Savanna operates on a code older than speech, older than fire. You weren't born into it. You haven't trained for it. And worst of all, you don't even know when you've broken it. Let's start with movement. You walk like a human, upright, bold, loud. You step without rhythm. You cast long shadows. You wear bright colors. To predators, this is not caution. This is advertisement. A billboard that screams, I don't belong here. You talk to yourself, to the air, to imaginary help. You hum to keep your nerves down. You mutter under your breath, but sound carries. Your voice echoes in ways you don't understand. What seems like a whisper in your ears becomes a dinner bell in someone else's. Then there's your scent. You smell like soap, like fabric softener, like plastic, like fear. You sweat profusely. You urinate near where you sleep. You don't bury your waste. You leave a trail of scent as obvious as a road flare. Every animal in a half-mile radius now knows where you've been and where you're going. You make camp in the open. Why? Because it feels safer. Because you want the breeze. Because you want to see what's coming. But here, height and light are death sentences. The wind betrays your location. The fire exposes your silhouette. You become a beacon, a target. Food. You brought some. Vacuum sealed, wrapped in plastic. You open it loudly. You don't bury the wrappers. You don't rinse your hands. And now hyenas are circling. Monkeys are watching. Ants are mobilizing. You've disturbed the balance. You drink when you find water, immediately, desperately. But you didn't test it. You didn't boil it. You didn't wait. You broke the rule of patience, and your stomach begins to churn. Later, when the fever starts, you won't even remember this moment. You rest during the day and try to move at night. Why? Because it's cooler. Because you think predators only hunt under the sun. But that's when they're most active. The cover of darkness is theirs. You've stepped into their domain, uninvited and unprepared. You think noise scares animals, so you shout, you bang rocks together, you sing. But here, quiet isn't fear, it's skill. The louder you are, the more you prove you don't belong. You carry a flashlight, you think it helps, but at night, every beam of light blinds you more than it reveals. Your eyes don't adapt. You lose depth, lose focus. The animals don't need light. You've just lost your one advantage, human sight. You didn't study the plants. You grab a branch to steady yourself. It's covered in tiny stinging hairs. You chew a leaf to calm your thirst. It's mildly toxic. Your lips swell. Your tongue tingles. Panic sets in. You didn't notice the wind shift. You didn't read the clouds. You didn't see the termite mound leaning east, a sign of prevailing storms. You didn't listen to the birds going silent, or the cicadas suddenly vanishing. The savanna gave you signs. You missed them all. You think survival is about strength, but it's not. It's about attention, about humility, about knowing that out here, everything knows more than you do. You've broken every rule because you never learned them. And out here, ignorance isn't forgiven, it's hunted. You've already accepted the predators, the lions, the snakes, the silent hunters of the night. But now, you face a deeper betrayal. The plants, the very things that in your world offer shade, fruit, comfort, here, they turn against you. You reach for a branch to steady yourself, expecting bark and leaves. Instead, your hand meets the hooked thorns of the wait-a-bit bush. They don't just prick, they anchor. Backward-facing barbs snag your skin and refuse to let go. You jerk your hand away and leave a trail of blood. The acacia tree offers no kindness either. It whispers deception with its soft, swaying canopy. But its branches hold thorns longer than your fingers, hard as bone, sharp as steel. They puncture tires, tear skin, and pierce straight through leather soles. One misstep and you're limping for days, the wound festering beneath sun and dust. Not all plants stab, some poison. There's the castor bean plant, its seeds glossy and tempting. You might pick one up without knowing it holds one of the most toxic substances known to man, ricin. Ingest even a few seeds, and within hours, nausea, vomiting, internal bleeding begin. There is no antidote, only the long wait. The euphorbia bush oozes a milky sap when snapped. You think it's harmless. You rub your eyes. Minutes later, you're screaming. The sap blinds. It burns through corneas, causes temporary, sometimes permanent, loss of sight. One wrong plant, one wrong touch. Stinging nettles hide along stream beds, blending into green. Their fine hairs inject histamines and acids. A light brush leaves welts. Minutes later, you're scratching until you bleed. The itch doesn't stop. Your skin becomes raw, your nerves frayed. The devil's thorn isn't named for fun. Its seed pods are small but vicious, a perfect cross of caltrop and claw. They bury into your foot if you're barefoot, or puncture through thin shoes. Pulling them out is worse than stepping on them. They don't come out clean, they rip. Even the grass is weaponized. Some varieties, like speargrass, have barbed tips that work their way through fabric and skin. They enter unnoticed, then burrow deeper with every movement. You find them days later, embedded in your skin like splinters, inflamed and infected. You try to rest in the shade, but you forgot the Commiphora tree, known locally as the whistling thorn. Its swollen nodes are homes for ants. Harmless? Number. These ants are hyper-aggressive. Brush against the tree and they swarm. Hundreds. Biting. Crawling into ears, up your nose. You scream, flailing, but they cling. Some bite the inside of your throat. And what about food? You think you can forage. Many fruits in the savanna mimic edible ones. The desert rose bears bright, beautiful blooms and stores cardiac glycosides. A few bites, and your heartbeat falters. Your vision tunnels. You drop. Even shelter betrays you. You crawl into a hollow tree for shade. Termites flood out. The bark disintegrates. You fall through the base into a den of ground hornets. Their stings aren't just painful. They're paralyzing. You swell. Your airways tighten. You choke on your own breath. The very soil hosts danger. Some plants release allelopathic chemicals, toxins meant to kill competition. You pitch a camp, and days later, your skin develops rashes. Your water stinks. You inhale something invisible, and your lungs ache. And while you focus on threats with teeth, you ignore the ones with roots. Because here, even the plants don't want you. And they make that very, very clear. In most survival stories, the tree is a sanctuary. You climb it to escape danger, to get a better view, to rest above the chaos below. But in the African savanna, the trees are not empty. They are not yours. They already have tenants, and many don't take kindly to guests. Take the baobab tree, massive, gnarled, ancient. Its hollows seem inviting. Cool shade, protection from the sun, a perfect place to hide. But inside its trunk, colonies of bats. The second you step in, you're swarmed. Dozens, hundreds, flap into your face. One scratches your cheek. It breaks the skin. Later, your neck swells. Fever comes. You realize they weren't just bats. They carried disease. Acacia trees are worse. Their branches are narrow and twisting. But even if you find one low enough to climb, you face the wrath of their thorn-armed defenders. Many species of acacia host mutualistic ants, colonies that protect their tree by swarming anything that touches it. You reach up. They pour onto your hands, into your sleeves, up your arms. They bite in synchronized fury. You fall from the tree screaming. You think maybe a fig tree will help. It's taller, broader, easier to grip. You make it halfway up, heart pounding with hope, until you hear it. A deep hiss. Then a tail, long, banded, and scaly. A rock python uncoils, not to flee, but to defend. They can reach lengths of over 5 meters. They don't strike and run. They strike and wrap. Constriction begins before you can scream. Even birds make the canopy hostile. The African crowned eagle nests high. If you approach too close, it dives. Not to warn, to injure. Their talons are massive, capable of crushing bone. Their beaks tear. Your scalp splits. Blood runs into your eyes. You tumble back down. And it's not just animals. Bees in Africa are not like those you know. The Africanized honeybee is aggressive, fast, and easily provoked. Step on the wrong branch, brush against the wrong limb, and the entire hive erupts. Not a dozen bees, but thousands. They follow for over a kilometer. They aim for your eyes, your nose, your mouth. 100 stings or more. Your throat swells shut. You try a termite mound tree. They often grow tall and narrow. It's quiet at first, but your weight shifts a branch, cracks bark. Out pour flying termites, winged and frantic. Not dangerous on their own, but they attract something worse. Birds of prey, snakes, lizards, all heading toward the sudden commotion. And then there's the leopard. Leopards are tree hunters. They drag kills up high to eat in peace. That low branch you see, with something dangling, that's not bark. That's a carcass, half-eaten, still warm. And the leopard is close, very close. You never saw it until it moved, until it dropped. Even the bark betrays you. Slick with moss, brittle with rot, crawling with ants. You climb, you slip, you scrape your leg open. The wound festers in days. The infection spreads. You sweat. You hallucinate. And if you somehow manage to climb high, to find a flat branch and sit, the view doesn't help. You see too far. You realize how vast it all is. You feel smaller, more exposed. You don't rest. You don't feel safer. You just wait for what's climbing up behind you. Because in the savannah, trees aren't refuge. They're already occupied. There's comfort in company. In the civilized world. But out here, in the sun-scorched reaches of the African savanna, being not alone can mean 100 different things. And almost none of them are good. You hear footsteps. Not yours. They don't match your rhythm. They pause when you pause. You spin around. Nothing. The brush sways slightly. A bird calls. Then silence. Your pulse quickens. The sense grows. Something is near. Something is watching. You think maybe it's a lion. Maybe a hyena. You're not wrong, but what you haven't considered yet is another human. Poachers move through these lands like ghosts, armed, experienced, territorial. They don't like strangers. They don't help lost tourists. They see you with your backpack, your gear, your camera, and think threat or opportunity. Some are trackers, not all of them benign. They move quietly, marking signs in the dirt, circling back. You think you're retracing your steps. You're not. You're being led. Or maybe it's a militia. There are regions where lines blur between protection and predation. Armed groups drift through the scrublands. You're not sure if they'll offer help or take your food, your gear. Or worse, you stumble across a campsite. There's smoke, a tin pot, a ripped tarp, but no people. Do you wait? Do you run? Were they friendly? Or hiding nearby, watching to see what you do? Even when the company is natural, it's rarely comforting. Elephants move in herds. They're majestic from afar. But if you're close, too close, and they think you're a threat, one charge, one misstep, a single matriarchal decision, your body would never be found. Buffalo are worse. Alone, they're cautious. In a group, they become fearless. They don't bluff charge. They follow through. One toss of the horns, one stomp from a half-ton hoof. You're gone. Baboons gather in troops, dozens strong. They're smart. They know how to corner. They know how to take what they want. You think they're amusing until they surround you. Teeth bared, eyes unblinking, arms reaching. And then there's the psychological weight of being watched. Always. It wears on you, breaks your focus, makes you doubt yourself. You see a flicker in the grass. You call out, no answer. You think maybe it's just your nerves. Maybe you're hallucinating. But the savanna doesn't play tricks. It just doesn't always show its hand. Even the insects remind you you're not alone. Fleas bite in unison. Ticks cling and burrow. They're small, but they number in the thousands. A constant itch, a crawling feeling that never stops. You rest your hand on a tree and pull it back covered in ants. You kneel to drink from a stream and feel leeches latch on. You sleep for an hour and wake to find scorpions exploring your bag. The feeling never leaves you. Not when you walk, not when you run, not when you close your eyes, because you're not alone. But out here, that's not comfort. It's a warning. You thought hallucinations would be strange, maybe even beautiful. Swirling colors, dancing lights, whispered voices. But here, under the relentless sun and silence of the savanna, they are terrifying. They don't come like dreams. They come like memories, like truths. First, it's subtle, a glint in the distance. You think it's water. You hurry toward it, but it shifts, vanishes, just dry earth and cracked clay. Your lips are blistered. Your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth. You convince yourself it was a trick of the light. Then the sounds begin. You hear someone say your name. You whip around. No one. You swear there are voices behind the trees. A snatch of music. A child's laugh. But you are alone, or supposed to be. Your ears throb. Your heartbeat pulses in them. Every sound is either too loud or too quiet. You see a figure, a person, walking ahead of you, slow and steady. You call out. They don't turn. You chase them, stumbling over roots and stones until your vision splits. The figure flickers and disappears. You blink. Your legs tremble. Your brain is overheating. You lie down under a tree, desperate for rest. The shadows move. The leaves twitch and rearrange themselves. You stare into the canopy, and it stares back. Faces form in the branches. Familiar ones, people you lost. people you've never met. They don't blink. They don't speak. You wake up and forget where you are. You think you're back home. You speak aloud to someone. You smile. Then your lips crack open and the pain hits. The smell of dust replaces the scent of your kitchen. The sound of cicadas drowns out the illusion. Your stomach cramps. You haven't eaten in too long. Dehydration sets in. Your skin is hot, but your limbs are cold. You shiver in the heat. Your thoughts tangle. You forget what day it is. You lose track of how long you've been walking. You stop recognizing your own footprints. You look down and see blood on your hands, but there's no wound. You panic. You scrub and scrub. Nothing comes off. Later, you realize it wasn't real. Or maybe it was. You're not sure anymore. Time fractures. A minute feels like an hour. A day vanishes in a blink. You see the sun high overhead, then low, but you never saw it move. Your dreams turn violent. You dream of predators, of being hunted, of falling into pits. You wake screaming, but your throat is dry. No sound comes out. And the worst part? You begin to trust the hallucinations. You follow a river that isn't there. You talk to a companion who doesn't exist. You hold a conversation with a voice in your head, and it answers back. You think maybe this is how people vanish. They stop distinguishing what's real. They follow their own echo into the bush. They chase phantoms until their legs give out, and the Savanna doesn't correct them. It lets them wander deeper, farther, until the line between madness and reality dissolves entirely. Out here, hallucinations don't feel like dreams. They feel like home. And that's when you're truly lost. You were raised in a world with lines, grids, signs and maps and step-by-step directions. You trust compasses. You trust GPS. But none of that works here. There are no paths in the Savanna. Just space. Endless, deceiving space. You think you're going north, but the sun's arc shifts with the hours. You forget that shadows don't move consistently. You try following a dry riverbed. It snakes and doubles back. You end up 10 miles from where you started. You climb a hill to get your bearings. From the top, everything looks flat, familiar. But you descend, and the world folds around you. You're in a shallow basin. You lose sight of the horizon. Trees block your view. You walk in circles without knowing it. The grass misleads you. Tall savanna grass waves in the wind, creating illusions of motion. You think something's moving. You follow, but it's the wind, not a trail. Or worse, it's something real. And now you're walking toward it. Termite mounds appear everywhere, identical. You mark one with a scratch. Hours later, you pass it again. Your heart sinks. You realize the land is repeating itself. But it isn't. You are. You try to follow animal tracks, but you don't know which ones loop, which ones meander, which lead to water, and which to ambushes. A fresh lion print? A trap. You're not tracking. You're being tracked. You hope the stars will guide you, but clouds roll in. The air thickens. You forget which hemisphere you're in. The constellations don't match what you learned. You try to find the Southern Cross. You confuse it with Orion. And then there's the heat shimmer. At noon, the horizon dances. Distant trees float like ghosts. Water flickers where none exists. A lone acacia doubles in form. You think you see two. You head for it, and it disappears entirely. Even the animals mislead. Birds cry from one direction, then swoop from another. Baboons throw their voices, calling in false alarm. You follow their warning, thinking it's danger, only to find nothing. Or worse, you ignore one call. And it was real. You build a landmark, a pile of stones. 20 minutes later, you spot another just like it. Or is it the same one? Your confidence erodes. You stop trusting your memory. You start second guessing every step. Your compass fails. The needle spins. Magnetic rock, sun interference, or just madness. You toss it aside. The dirt changes color, not from soil type, but from ash. You wandered into a burn scar, blackened earth stretching miles. Nothing looks familiar. It absorbs heat. Your shoes melt. You find an old track, tire prints, salvation, number. They vanish into grass, dead end. Maybe made weeks ago, or months. It's useless. And the worst deception? The promise of water. A cluster of green suggests a spring. You rush forward, only to find a saline pit. Undrinkable. You taste it anyway. It burns your throat. The savanna doesn't offer signs, it offers riddles. Moving hills, shifting winds, light that bends, sound that lies. There is no map. And the landscape, it lies straight to your face. You imagined peace, a break from the heat, a soft breeze under stars. You imagined the savanna at night like a silent painting, a still moment stretched across the land. But night here doesn't hush. It speaks. It shouts. It whispers in languages older than humanity. The sun sinks, and everything changes. The golden light turns to fire, then embers, then smoke. You expect silence, but it doesn't come. Instead, the noise builds, slowly, relentlessly. First come the insects. The cicadas start, a shrill rising screech like metal tearing. Then the crickets join, a chorus of sharp, quick chirps. Grasshoppers rattle their wings, mosquitoes whine near your ears, 1,000 different bodies making 1,000 different sounds. You cover your ears, but it's inside you now. Then the birds call, not the cheerful day singers, but the mournful, eerie ones. The nightjars croak, the thick knees wail, the owls hoot in solemn rhythm. You hear a shriek, not sure if it's bird or beast or something else entirely. The mammals awaken. Hyenas begin their laughter, but it's not funny. It's manic, uneven, echoing from 3 directions at once. It rises, cracks, then cuts off, then silence, then starts again, closer. Lions roar, deep, trembling. You feel it in your ribs before your ears. The sound rolls across the plains, a territorial drumbeat. One, then another, then another. You try to count the voices. You lose track. You realize they're not far. Jackals yip and bark. Baboons scream from trees, warning cries or challenges. You hear branches snap. Something large moves through the brush. You light a fire. It spits and pops, masking some of the sound, but not enough. You swear you hear breathing. Not yours, not human. Something low, wet, rhythmic. Then come the rustles. The grass shifts, a body moving through it. You shine your light. Nothing. But when you turn it off, the sound resumes. Again, closer. Something is circling. Frogs croak from puddles left behind by storms. Some high-pitched, some guttural, like laughter filtered through water. The wind picks up. You think it will drown out the others, but it amplifies them, carries them, twists them. A hiss becomes a voice. A cry becomes a scream. You can't tell what's real anymore. And then the footsteps. 2 feet? 4? 6? It doesn't matter. You hear them. Sand crunches. Grass bends. A twig snaps. You hold your breath. You don't move. Something brushes your tent. Something sniffs. You try to sleep. You curl into yourself. But the sounds drill into your thoughts. They pull at your nerves. Every minute feels stretched. Every second a question. What was that? Is it coming closer? Are you safe? Number, you're not. Because the night here doesn't sleep. It lives, it prowls, it speaks, and it never, ever goes quiet.